Hello, and welcome to a short webinar to help you better understand the Life Benefits account. My name is Joseph DiPaolo, co-founder of Integrity Advisory Group, a comprehensive financial services firm located in Tampa, Florida. The idea you are about to hear comes as a result of helping my own advisory clients find an optimal way to save for college and create a meaningful legacy for their children in the process. I was surprised by the lack of knowledge parents and grandparents have around this topic, so I've made it my personal mission to help educate as many families as I can understand all of the college funding options available in order to make the best decision for their children and their household. Let me briefly explain the format of this webinar. I find the same questions present themselves when introducing the Life Benefits account for the first time. So this webinar is made up of the most common questions I hear. If you have any questions I don't mention, feel free to contact our office or send us an email, and we will be more than happy to get them answered for you. Enjoy the webinar. I hope it helps. The Life Benefits account is simply a savings account designed specifically for a child to help pay for college or any other big expense over the course of their entire life. Whenever I recommend an investment, investors typically ask me the same three questions. First, is the investment safe? They want to know if they're at risk of losing their money. Secondly, they ask if it's liquid. In other words, can they get to the money when they need it the most? And finally, they ask about the rate of return. What's the point of going through the exercise if there's no rate of return, right? See, we call this the laser test or the LSR test. Ideally, we want all three, but since there's no such thing as a perfect investment, the question becomes, how close can we get? When structured properly, the Life Benefits account can provide ample liquidity, safety, and an impressive rate of return over time. One often overlooked consideration of the investment selection process is the tax impact of the vehicle. Let me explain why this is so important. Here is $1 doubling every period for 20 periods. With compounding tax-favored interest, at the end of this time period we have over $1 million. Albert Einstein was right when he said compounding interest was the eighth wonder of the world. But watch what happens when I tax the gain at 25%. We're left with only $72,000. What a difference. So when selecting an investment, not only should the laser test be considered, but so should the tax treatment as well. The Life Benefits account not only provides liquidity, safety, and rate of return, but it does so in a tax-favored environment, making it the ideal savings plan in most situations. Quite frankly, the world we live in now is different than the world we grew up in. Our children and grandchildren have more competition than ever. A bachelor degree requirement has taken the place of a high school degree requirement for many good-paying jobs. And postgraduate degrees are becoming more and more mainstream. It is our responsibility as parents and grandparents to make sure our children have every possibility to succeed in life. That often starts with an excellent education. The cost of college has increased at a rate of 3 times the pace of inflation and twice the rate of wage increases over the last 20 years. According to a Huffington Post report, due to poor college savings and the increase in college tuition, students are graduating from college strapped with more debt. This puts a child at a huge disadvantage starting out in life. An additional reason to start now is because of the direction our country is heading. Our national debt has over $17 trillion of debt. That's trillion with a T. I read once that if you took $1 trillion bills and lined them up end on end, there would be a line of dollar bills that would go from here to the moon and back again 20 times. In addition to the debt, our country also has unfunded liabilities, like Social Security and Medicare, that exceed over $122 trillion. Obviously, these numbers are not sustainable. How will our country deal with this problem? Well, history tells us that financial problems are solved through the tax code. So we have a very high likelihood that future taxes will be higher than today's. Although we have enjoyed low income taxes for some time, the tides do seem to be changing. This is so important for our children and our grandchildren because there is a very good chance they will be taxed considerably higher than our current generation. Between 1933 and 1935, President FDR brought us the New Deal, which was a government spending program to help our country recover from the Great Depression. As a result of this spending spree, the top federal income tax rate for the U.S. climbed over 90%. I say all of this because a savings plan like the life benefits account can provide funding for college, but also provide a tax-free retirement plan to help shield your loved ones from major tax increases in the future. The life benefits account is facilitated through a properly structured cash value life insurance policy. Now, there are many types of cash value life insurance policies to choose from, but we find that fixed indexed universal life works best for the life benefits account. This is due to the flexibility, the guarantees, and the indexing opportunities that are unique to fixed indexed universal life policies. There are two main functions for life insurance. Number one is death benefit, and number two is cash accumulation. Most families are familiar with the death benefit function. A death benefit is extremely beneficial for income protection and estate planning. Typically, when someone purchases a policy strictly for death benefit, they try to get the most death benefit for the smallest amount of premium. Buying cash value life insurance for cash accumulation takes the opposite approach. Here we look for the smallest amount of life insurance we can legally get away with and keep all the tax benefits. Then we overfund the policy to the maximum so the dollars over the cost of insurance can grow in a tax-free environment. Now, I know this sounds counterintuitive, but it works when structured properly. So we aren't necessarily opening a policy to provide a benefit from premature death as much as we are looking for a tax-advantageous way to save for college and more. These types of policies work best over the long haul. So with a child, they could have decades and decades of tax-favored, protected, compounding growth. This is a recipe that can lead to a savings account that benefits a child their entire life, not just for college. The life benefits account is completely flexible. The persons opening the account structure the terms that make the most sense to them. Many structure the account similar to a prepaid college plan or a 529 savings plan. Paying for the life benefits account can be accomplished in as little as 1 year or as many as 20 years. It's up to you. The best part is, once the account is funded, no additional funding is required and the child can use the account as her own personal bank account for her entire life. I know it sounds too good to be true, but it's not. This is possible because of a concept called safe positive leverage. Indexed universal life policies are unique investments in many ways. One in particular is the contractual loan provision they provide. These provisions allow one to borrow against a policy's cash value. In other words, one can use the cash value as collateral and borrow the insurance company's money. The loan doesn't need to be paid back during the child's lifetime. This is so important compared to other savings plans. Let me explain. If I save $100,000 in my child's 529 savings plan, when they start college, I need to divest or sell the investments in order to raise the cash needed to pay for school. Eventually, I'll spend all the money and there won't be anything left. But in the life benefits account, if I borrow money from the insurance company to pay for college and that loan doesn't need to be paid back, then I don't need to divest a savings account and it can continue to compound decade after decade tax-free. When the child gets to retirement, he'd have a tax-favored nest egg to borrow against for the rest of his life. See, we all look at the same things but perceive them differently. The beaver looks at this piece of wood and says it's food. The caveman takes a look at this piece of wood and says it's shelter or firewood. Archimedes looks at the same piece of wood and says this is a lever to move the world. So my goal here is to show you a different perspective, that a properly structured, fixed indexed universal life policy can be used to leverage financial security for your child's entire life. Your life benefits account only uses A+ or higher life insurers with the best indexed universal lives on the market. As an independent insurance agency, Integrity Advisory Group carefully evaluates the carriers and their products. It can be said that life insurers are the backbone of this country. They are extremely conservative in the investing that they do due to stringent reserve requirements put forth by state leadership. Our most utilized insurance carrier happens to be the third largest money manager in the world. So yes, we would consider this a safe investment, and these policies have guarantees in place that are backed by the claims paying ability of the insurance carrier. Interest on indexed universal life policies are earned by a concept called policy indexing credits. Let me take some time and explain this. First, let me say that these policies are fixed vehicles, which mean the stock market cannot negatively impact your cash value. Next, let me say that your return is based upon what an index, like the S&P 500 does, on an annual basis. One caveat though, you don't earn all of the market gain. So in a nutshell, you get some of the up and none of the down instead of all of the up and all of the down. In many market conditions, this approach can be superior. This question will vary per family. It is very important to evaluate one's entire financial picture before giving a hasty recommendation. But I will say this, the Florida Prepaid Program and the 529 Savings Plan are not bad plans. They are solid ways to save for your child's college-related expenses. But wouldn't it be better to save the same dollar amount without the college-related handcuffs? Or if you have the possibility to seed a child's tax-free retirement and pay for college simultaneously for the same price, why wouldn't you? This chart will help explain some of the differences. So as we look at this chart as a savings comparison, we want to measure the liquidity or the flexibility of the plan, the safety, the rate of return, and whether or not the account has favorable tax treatment. We'll start with the prepaid college plan. When we look at flexibility and liquidity, it doesn't really provide liquidity for anything other than college-related expenses. So we're going to put no here. When we look at safety, the account is safe because it's backed by the state of Florida, but it doesn't provide a rate of return. It does provide favorable tax treatment because there are no taxes assessed in the Florida prepaid plan. When we look at the 529 savings plan, for the same reasons as the prepaid plan, it doesn't provide flexibility because the account has to be used specifically for college. The account is not safe though, because when you invest in a 529 plan, you're investing in the market. And we know that the market doesn't always go up. It does provide the opportunity for a rate of return, and as long as the 529 plan is used for college-related expenditures, it does have favorable tax treatment. Now let's look at the life benefits account. Because it doesn't have the college-related handcuffs, it is considered flexible. You can use the account for whatever it is that you want, whether it be a car, whether it be to pay off debt, or whether it be a tax-free retirement. The vehicle is safe because the stock market will not negatively affect the account, and it's backed by the claims paying ability of the insurance carrier. It also provides a rate of return as high as 16% in most cases. And it does provide, because of the loan feature, favorable tax treatment. So as you can see, 4 green circles beat 2 green circles when considering your college savings. Although many life insurers offer cash value policies, they are not all created equal. With something as important as your child's future, due diligence is paramount. Integrity Advisory Group has already and continues to perform its due diligence to ensure the lowest possible cost, the most favorable cash out provisions, and the highest possible growth potential, all without compromising the safety of your principal. Without the expert, unbiased, or thorough examination Integrity Advisory Group conducts on each of these types of policies, you might find yourself disappointed when the college years come. Your next step is to schedule an online meeting with a life benefits counselor to answer any questions and see if you qualify. Feel free to schedule your meeting right now by selecting your time on the calendar on this page. It is highly recommended that anyone involved in the funding of this account be present on the online meeting. The meetings can accommodate up to 20 people at different locations, making it very convenient for everyone involved to ask any questions they might have. If a face-to-face meeting is desired, just mention it when you schedule your appointment. Integrity Advisory Group is located at 2202 Northwest Shore Avenue in Tampa, Florida, right next to the Tampa International Airport. No, and that's the best part. Your counselor will discuss all the college funding strategies available to you and your household, and they'll also provide you any information needed to make a wise and prudent decision on one of the most important financial decisions of your life.